Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why am I interested in so many things, and why can't I just pick one? Picture this: you're standing in front of a closet full of suits, and none of them fit anymore. Not because you gained weight, but because life changed shape. For years, the world rewarded one thing: pick one lane, stick to it, become the guy for that one skill, and ride it until retirement. But if you're over 50, you've watched that promise break in real time. Companies restructure, industries collapse, AI rewrites job descriptions overnight, retirement ages move, healthcare costs climb, and the single-track career, the straight line, starts to look less like security and more like a trap. Now here's the big promise of today's video. If you have too many interests, if you've spent your life being curious about everything, if you've been the person who can't stop learning, tinkering, building, teaching, exploring, you are probably not broken. You're probably built for the M-shaped future. And for men over 50, this could be the most powerful way to stop feeling scattered and start feeling unstoppable. Stay with me, because in a few minutes I'm going to show you how the M-shaped future works, why it's perfectly designed for people with too many interests, and the exact steps to turn that trait into income, relevance, and confidence again, without pretending to be 30. So let's talk about the problem no one wants to name out loud. A lot of men over 50 carry a quiet frustration. You look back and think, if I had just focused on one thing, I'd be further ahead. Or you see someone with a clean identity: I'm a CPA, I'm a master electrician, I'm a project manager, and you think, what am I? Because your life doesn't feel like one title. It feels like chapters. A chapter where you led teams, then a chapter where you sold, then a chapter where you fixed things. Then maybe you got into fitness, woodworking, photography, investing, coaching, volunteering, real estate, writing, technology. And in your head, it's a mess, like a garage full of tools with no labels. But what if that garage is exactly what the next economy is looking for? Let me tell you a story. I know someone, let's call him Mark. Mark is 56. For most of his career, he worked in operations. Not glamorous, but he was reliable. The guy who could walk into chaos and make things work. But Mark also had side interests he never fully respected. He was into personal finance. He helped friends budget. He loved fitness, always reading about training and longevity. He tinkered with tech spreadsheets, automations, basic coding. He coached his kids' team and got good at motivating people. Then his company restructured. And suddenly, that neat identity, operations manager, felt like it evaporated. Mark did what most people do. He tried to squeeze himself back into one box. He polished the resume. He applied for the same roles. He told himself, just get back to what I was doing. But here's what happened. Every interview felt like he was selling the past. And deep down, he knew it. The future wasn't asking for another copy of his old job. It was asking for someone who could blend skills. Someone who could connect dots, lead people, understand systems, communicate clearly, and adapt fast. An M-shaped person. So what does that even mean? Most people have heard of T-shaped skills, deep expertise in one area, plus broad ability across others. The M-shaped future takes that idea further. M-shaped means you have multiple deep pillars. Not just one specialty, but 2, 3, maybe 4 areas where you're genuinely strong, and the magic is in the combination. One pillar might be leadership. Another pillar might be technical problem solving. Another might be communication. Another might be coaching, sales, strategy, design, finance, health. And instead of trying to hide the variety, you build an identity that uses it. Because the future isn't paying the most for people who know one thing. It's paying for people who can integrate. Now pause, because if you're thinking, that sounds good, but isn't specialization still what wins? Yes and no. Specialization matters, but pure specialization is getting automated, outsourced, or commoditized faster than ever. And that's why, if you have too many interests, you are probably built for the M-shaped future, is not a motivational poster. It's a survival strategy, especially for men over 50. Now here's where this gets mind-blowing. You don't have to become someone new. You have to reframe who you already are and package it with intention. In a moment, I'll give you a simple exercise to map your M and turn it into a clear next move. But first, if this is already hitting home, if you've ever felt like you have too many interests and it's held you back, hit the like button so the algorithm knows this is worth sharing. And if you want more practical guidance built for men who refuse to fade out after 50, subscribe to Better You Advice for Men. Because this channel is about building the next chapter on purpose, not by accident. Now, let's ground this in reality with what research actually suggests. Claim number 1. Studies in cognitive aging consistently show that staying mentally active, learning new skills, engaging with complex tasks, and building new routines supports cognitive health and can help slow age-related decline. The takeaway is do crossword puzzles. It's this. The brain responds to challenge and novelty. So if you've had too many interests, that curiosity might not be a flaw. It might be a protective factor. And if you're over 50, that matters a lot. Claim number 2. Research on career development and employability shows that adaptability, often called career adaptability, is a major predictor of how well people navigate job transitions, uncertainty, and changing markets. Translation. The people who do best in disruption are not just the most specialized. They're the most adaptable. And adaptability is built from variety. From learning how to learn, again and again. Claim number 3. Labor market trends increasingly reward hybrid roles, positions that combine technical understanding with human skills like leadership, communication, and coordination. You see it everywhere. Project managers who understand the tech, salespeople who can interpret data, leaders who can coach and build culture, creators who understand business. That's the M-shaped future, showing up in real job postings. So if you have too many interests, you're probably built for the M-shaped future because you can combine skills that others can't. Now, let's make this practical. Here's the biggest mistake men over 50 make with multiple interests. They try to pick the one true thing and abandon everything else. And that creates 2 problems. 1, you feel like you're cutting off parts of yourself. 2, you end up choosing the thing you're supposed to do, not the thing that makes you valuable now. Instead, you want to build your M intentionally. Do this exercise with me and don't rush it. Take out a note on your phone or a piece of paper. Draw an M 2 peaks, maybe 3 if you want. At the top of each peak, write a deep strength. Not an interest, a strength. Something you can do under pressure, something people have depended on. Examples: leading teams through chaos, selling and negotiating, fixing systems and processes, teaching and mentoring, writing clearly, building relationships, technical troubleshooting, financial planning, designing and building. Now under each peak, write proof. What did you do, specifically, that demonstrates that strength? Numbers help, but stories help too. Then, this is the part most people miss. In the valley between the peaks, write what you can do that others can't, because you have both. For example, if you have leadership plus process improvement, you can run operations transformations. If you have finance plus coaching, you can help people change behavior, not just spreadsheets. If you have tech curiosity plus communication, you can bridge the gap between builders and decision makers. That valley is your offer. That valley is your next chapter. Now here's the suspenseful part. Most people are not competing with you there, because most people only have one peak, or they never learned how to connect them. So instead of feeling scattered, you become rare. Now, what do you do with it? Step 1, Choose a flagship problem. The M-shaped future isn't about being interested in everything. It's about solving one meaningful problem using multiple strengths. Pick a problem you can credibly solve for a specific type of person or business. Examples for men over 50. I help small businesses streamline operations so the owner can stop working weekends. I help professionals over 45 regain strength and energy with simple training and nutrition. I help teams communicate better and hit deadlines using practical systems. I help people get control of their money and reduce stress with a realistic plan. Notice what's happening. You're not saying, I'm interested in fitness and finance and leadership and tech. You're saying, here's the problem I solve, and here's why I'm uniquely built to solve it. Step 2, build a proof trail fast. Not a giant reinvention. A proof trail. One case study, one client, one project, one transformation, one documented result. If you're employed, volunteer for a cross-functional initiative where your M shows up. If you're between jobs, offer a small paid project. If you're building a side income, create a simple service and test it with real people. And document everything. Before and after. What you changed. What worked. Step 3, create your one-sentence identity. Men over 50 often feel pressure to explain their whole life story in one breath. Don't. You need one sentence that makes people lean in. Try this template. I help specific person business achieve specific result using your 2 or 3 pillars. Example. I help overwhelmed managers run calmer, more productive teams using leadership coaching and simple systems. That's M-shaped. That's memorable. Now a viewer prompt, because I want to make this personal. In the comments, write 2 of your peaks, your 2 strongest pillars, even if you're not sure yet. Just write peak 1, peak 2. You might be surprised how fast clarity appears when you name it. Now, let's address the emotional part. Because the reason this matters for men over 50 isn't just money. It's identity. A lot of people hit this age and feel like they're being slowly moved off the main stage. Like the world is saying, thanks for your service, now step aside. But the M-shaped future doesn't reward youth. It rewards integration. It rewards judgment. It rewards people who have lived long enough to recognize patterns and calm enough to execute without ego. You've made mistakes. You've seen what works. You know how people actually behave, not how business books claim they behave. That's not something you retire from. That's something you leverage. And if you have too many interests, that might mean you've been collecting tools for decades. And now the world is finally building a job site that needs all of them. So here's the vision. Imagine waking up and not feeling guilty about your curiosity. Not feeling behind because your path wasn't straight. Instead, you see it like an advantage. You have a clear problem you solve. A simple identity statement. A proof trail you're building. And a next chapter that doesn't require you to compete with 25-year-olds on hustle. Because you're competing on wisdom plus range. That's the M-shaped future. And it's why, if you have too many interests, you are probably built for the M-shaped future, especially as a man over 50. One more viewer prompt. If you want, share your age and the chapter you're in right now. Employed, rebuilding, starting a business, recently retired, or exploring. And I'll tailor future videos to what you're actually dealing with. Now let's land this. You don't need to pick one thing and delete the rest of you. You need to connect your strengths and aim them at a real problem. That's how you turn too many interests into leverage. That's how you build relevance that can't be outsourced. That's how you create a future where your experience finally pays interest. And if you want more videos on building confidence, income, health, and purpose for the next chapter, made specifically for men who want to get better, not older, subscribe to Better You Advice for Men. Because the next chapter doesn't start when someone hires you. It starts when you decide to build your M on purpose. Last viewer prompt before you go. If this video helped you reframe your too many interests, send it to one friend who's been feeling stuck lately. The kind of friend who's got talent in 5 different directions and doesn't know which one to choose. They might be M-shaped too. See you in the next one.